Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Coach Marie. I'm Marie O'Neill, founder of Padma Life Coaching, and your host on this series. This is a place where you ask a question and I give my unique opinion as a life renewal coach, astrologer, and past life regression facilitator. Please know that I'm not a therapist and I will never tell you what you must do. Each week on Friday, a new video is released with me answering 2 questions from the viewers. In addition to those 2 questions, I talk about various other life renewal topics. Before we get started with the questions for this week, if you would like a deeper dive into the topics that I discussed here on this series, check out my Substack page. I put out an article twice a month on Substack where I do a deeper dive into the subject matter here. There are prompts so that you can do more work for yourself if you choose to, or you can just read the articles. The link is going to be in the description below. The next thing is we are in the holiday season. And I want to wish each and every one of you a festive and wonderful holiday. I mean, this is, of course, Christmas, regardless of where we are in the world. And it's a time of giving, a time of being with family and friends, a time of gifting. And, even if you do not celebrate Christmas, that's okay. It's one of my favorite times of the year because we tend to be a bit kinder to each other. And I, of course, wish we could be kinder to each other throughout the year and not just through the Christmas holiday. But it seems as though this is the case. Think about what Christmas means. I mean, what is it really about? It's about recognizing the humanity in all of us, in every human being. It's about taking care of each other. And I ask you during this season to please take care of yourself, please take care of your neighbors, your friends. If you find that there are people who are alone for the holidays, do something. Reach out to them. Maybe invite them to dinner or invite them to lunch or be kind. That is the message. Be kind. All right, let's move on to the questions for this week. Our first question comes from Mark, who is in San Diego, California. And Mark writes, every time I get close to a breakthrough or achieving a goal, I seem to self-sabotage, procrastinating, creating drama, or just giving up. It's like an invisible force is holding me back. How can I identify and overcome these patterns? That's a good question, Mark. And it sounds as though you have created a pattern. For example, if we are, I'm going to use this as a crude term, but if you're digging a ditch and you're going over the same area over and over again, you create a pattern, you create a groove. And that, of course, gets deeper and deeper the more you actually dig. This is the same with energy patterns. When we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we create a pattern and it becomes very difficult to get out of that particular pattern. That doesn't mean it's impossible. You want to, if you can, go back to, if you can think about when this began, when you first, not necessarily noticed the pattern, but when you first had this issue arise, and contemplate what you were telling yourself, what you said to yourself. Maybe you said something negative. Think about that, because that is an energy pattern. You want to come up with an affirmation or something that you can say to yourself when you're starting a project to help yourself get out of this rut. Now, there's many ways that you can utilize to help you get out of this rut. This issue could have started, of course, in a prior life. Regardless, it's an issue that you're having now, and it needs to be overcome so that you can move forward. Because every time you have a failure, you're telling yourself something, and that is digging you deeper. So you've got to change what you're actually saying to yourself. And you've got to, if you can, enlist the help of your higher mind, your guides, and ask them to guide you through this so that you can start getting successes. If you can start getting small successes, you will change the energy pattern. So start with, as I said, something small that you are not emotionally tied to. However, create a goal or something that you want to do and just start building small successes, and you'll find that this pattern will shift. Send me an email. I really want to know how you are working with this issue. If this information that I'm giving you is helping, I'd love to have a conversation with you about this, because it may be that you need coaching. It doesn't mean that you need to come to me as a coach. There's many coaches out here, but you may need some coaching to work through this issue. All right, let's move on to the topic for this week. The life renewal topic is befriending your inner critic, transforming self-sabotage into self-empowerment. Each of us has a critic, and sometimes that critic is loud and sometimes it's not loud. The question is, why is it there? What is it protecting you from or trying to protect you from? Because a lot of times that's what the inner critic is doing. It usually has served a purpose in the past, and once you're recognizing it, now it's ready to go. When you're recognizing an issue, it means that that issue is ready to be released. And so you want to talk to the inner critic, befriend it, ask it, what is it protecting you from? Why is it there? Let it know that it has served its purpose. You thank it for being there, and you're going to transform it. Now, in order to transform it, you have to come up with an antidote. What is the antidote to the critic? It doesn't mean that you just willy-nilly run off and do something without thinking about the consequences. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that your logic goes away, because logic serves us. At the same time, if you have something that you want to do, you want to look at the outcome. What happens if it works? What happens if you are successful with whatever it is you want to do? The other thing is we have to think about failure and what failure really is. I think failure can be a good thing because, number one, we're working on something and we fail. That doesn't mean that the entire project needs to go away. It means that you need to change your strategy. Think about all of the successful people out here. They did not have success typically right away. They had to keep going, keep failing to find out what worked, what didn't work. And each time they failed, they gathered more information, more data. And this is what we do when we have something we want to achieve. So when you're thinking about self-sabotage, why is it there? Why are you being pessimistic? Think of it as having an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. Who are you going to listen to? Listen to the angel. Of course, the devil is not a bad person, but that's a subject for another episode. For those of you who are self-sabotaging, send me an email. Let me know if this information helps or if you need more information. All right, let's move on to the final question for today. Our final question, question 2, comes from Olivia, who is in Boston, Massachusetts. And Olivia says, my inner critic is relentless, constantly telling me I'm not good enough or I'll fail. It makes it impossible to even start pursuing my dreams. What are practical ways to silence or reframe that negative self-talk so I can finally take action? All right, Olivia. One of the things that you can do is, of course, enlist the help of a friend or family member with this. Sit down with them and strategize with what it is you want to accomplish, what goal it is. Set deadlines of when you're actually going to take action. Have someone else know what that deadline is. And even if you have to have somebody else hit the send button on an email or come and be with you as you take action, do it. Their energy will be there to help you. Sometimes you do have to do this, and it's a drastic measure to enlist the help of others to come and be with you when you're trying to reach a goal. But sometimes that's what you need to do because you have to get out of the rut of self-sabotage. The other thing that you can do is, of course, enlist the help of a coach, because a coach can help you figure out why the issue is there in the first place and help you strategize with working through the issue. This is something, I'm sure, an issue that you've had for quite a while, and it can be debilitating. And of course, this is one of the reasons you've sent the question in, because you want to work through this issue. So I would suggest, of course, not only writing out the goals, but setting deadlines on when you're going to actually start working on the goals, have affirmations that you work with, enlist the help of friends and family members to actually push you in a good way, not in a negative way. And, of course, enlist the help of a coach if you can. All right. Thank you for sending in your questions. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that little bell so that you can be notified when new episodes are being released. If you would like to learn more about the work that I do, check out my website, padmalifecoaching.com. On there, I talk about astrology, life coaching, and past life regression. You can email me through the site, or you can send your questions to me, the questions for Ask Coach Marie. Send those questions to padmacoach@icloud.com. That's padmacoach@icloud.com. You can learn more about how I have worked through some of the trauma that I have encountered in my life by reading my book, And the Lotus Opened, a memoir. You can find that book anywhere online books are sold, like Barnes & Noble, Amazon, 8 Books. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for spending your time listening to me talk about the questions that have been sent to me. All right, I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.